Hello ratbags, it's Jade with a big, huge, exclusive first announcement about Conan Exiles. Over a month ago now, I gave you the first real information that Conan Exiles was planning some sort of new map, some sort of new expansion, or some sort of new biome. I had this information because during an investor call, the investors or the big CEOs of the company kind of let slip that the development team would be making an announcement or let them make an announcement in the future, but the map is getting too small for the content that they plan over the next year, possibly even longer. If you don't know, Conan Exiles is now viewed as a live service game, hence why we get paid DLC every sort of quarter or so, and we also get free update with free content. I like this method. I think it's better than a paid expansion every year like we've seen with Ark that gets delayed, has problems, and really doesn't get updated that much during the rest of the year. You have some events in Ark Survival Evolved, but you don't necessarily have these big huge dungeons that get added or new ways to play the game like the mount system. And them updates are free. You get the paid DLC, which I still have some issues with, but you do get the rest of the content absolutely free. They still have some problems and issues to address, and they definitely need to get some fundamentals fixed before they keep selling more DLC. And this is the big news. Conan Exiles has just been pretty much bought out by Tencent. So Funcom, the parent company, the developers, the publishers of Conan Exiles, and a bunch of other games have been really successful in the last few years. In fact, it's been their most successful period in their 27-year history. They've come a long way from making just MMO based games like Age of Conan and The Secret World, and Conan Exiles has been their most popular game by far. It pretty much nearly rescued the company from possibly experiencing some real problems and issues. And despite sometimes low numbers and despite maybe not as big hype as other survival games out there, Conan Exiles is in fact the #2 survival game on console. It's pretty much one of the biggest live service games you can still play in that genre. Even on PC it's doing respectable, and I would place it around 4th or 5th out of all the survival games on there after maybe like Rust, Ark, and possibly games like DayZ. And to a lesser extent games like 7 Days to Die. All that stuff can be checked, and I've done videos on that, so I don't want to go over all that business. That's not what I'm here for today. But just trust me, go and look on the Steam player counts and you'll see over the time. Take what it's on PC, then look at what's on console, and you can bet on console it's probably more or less the same amount of players, maybe even more, because we don't have as much choice as you PC players. Anyway, I'm just putting a bit of context. Tencent, obviously a big company. They own lots and lots of stuff. They've got a share or big share in Epic Games. They also have big money in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. They're like their publisher in China, their own Ring of Elysium, and they actually have investments in a lot of companies like Ubisoft and Activision. They are pretty much the biggest games company that you've never really thought of too much, other than being a bit xenophobic and going, oh no, the Chinese are coming. So anyway, you get the idea. Tencent are pretty much the Activision Ubisoft of the Asian markets, and they're one of the biggest game developers in the world and publishers. They bought like a 29% share in Funcom in October, and I covered this as well, and basically it allowed the company to see what Tencent were about. Tencent then had access to all their stuff, and it pretty much meant that Tencent could then acquire the whole company. This is pretty much how it works. You generally buy some shares in a company, you see how it's running. If you like the way it's progressing, if you can see a future for it, you may decide to buy it wholesale so that you're going to generate more profit. So the shareholders are all receiving like 27% pricing on their shares, and the boards that runs Funcom at the moment have advocated that they want Tencent to go for it, and they want the people that own these shares to agree to the sale. So pretty soon Funcom is going to be a Tencent owned company completely. There might be some shareholders that don't agree, but I can't really see that happening. It seems like it's a pretty good deal, making a 30% nearly increase on what you've already owned. I mean, for people that have lots of shares in that, that's a big increase. And Funcom shares are pretty much doing okay anyway, so it's not like, no, they've not made any money off of them in the last few years. They've gone up and up and up. That's important. We need to talk about this. I know it's boring, but let's get through the boring shit. It doesn't change supposedly anything happening with their current games. Their long running games like Conan Exiles, Secret World, Legends, Age of Conan, Anarchy Online, they're all still going to be supported supposedly. I'm going to say supposedly because let's face it, we never know what's going to happen, but Tencent do have a pretty decent reputation for long-term support. Clearly, Funcom are really interested in what's happening with Dune. Now, Dune is the big new project from Funcom. It's going to be a Conan Exiles-esque survival open-world multiplayer game. It will have more fantasy elements in it, possibly, than even Conan Exiles, and it will have maybe more up-to-date sort of items and weapons and armors, because the Dune game is set in space or planets and stuff like that, so you can expect some guns with lasers and all sorts of contraptions. I've never really read Dune. I'm pretty much going to pick up a copy now though, so I'm well lured when we're expecting to see more information, hopefully at the end of this year, but it's looking likely we won't see it actually come out until maybe 2021, the end of the year, or 2022. So Tencent want to get into this. They feel like Conan Exiles is massive, they want to support their next project and make a shed ton of money. That's what they're there for. Amongst all of that, there was another press release, and pretty much just advocating some other stuff, what was going on. A bit more information about the Dune project and just a bit more information about how they view their games as a service. But the biggest part, of course, is I was right. We are getting a brand new map. However, it's going to be a paid expansion. So this post goes on to detail that they're saying they're going to put more money and pump more ideas and initiatives into the Dune project. They can see that being really big. It's going to be larger than Conan Exiles. There is still some bad news for Funcom. They're delaying their planned co-op shooter game now until the release of the Dune game. And they've already cancelled a Conan Exiles single player game that was in the works last year too. Anyway, I'm putting that out there because it's got to happen. You've got to have the context. The management board's recommendation to the supervisory board will to increase the focus on the open world survival segment with games as a service business model. This recommendation is based on the fact that Conan Exiles continues to perform well, with December 2019 having been the third best month in terms of average number of players on PC since early access launch in January 2017. And with the company continuing to develop the game with a paid map DLC, that is the line, guys. Downloadable content for release this year. The performance of Conan Exiles and similar games indicate that this genre reports strong lifetime revenues. The recommendation also reflects the belief that both the Dune IP and the survival games genre are a good match with a large long-term potential. So there you go, guys. Confirmed. Now, I've done a couple of videos talking about this. I've hypothesized, I've spoken about the ideas that it might be a biome that we travel to, or it might be a bigger dungeon, and I guess I was wrong. I mean, my first video, I said it's going to be a new map. I thought it was going to be a brand new map, and then I felt like, are they really going to be doing that? Are they really going to be shifting all their focus onto a brand new map when they've got their new game coming out? And that made me limit and made me think, don't get overhyped. Talk about what we do know. Funcom have always played it safe. They've never really gone out there too much with their systems, and it's something I've been critical in the past. They've kind of done stuff very strategically, very slowly sometimes, and they've never really gone out there too much to be too crazy. Like, we're still missing a bunch of content and features because they never got around to doing it, or it was just too much time, like effort and time for them to do at that precise time. Maybe money was a factor as well. And I said that during early access when they announced plans to delay the game and stop updating the game with new content and go around bug fixing it. I thought it was a missed opportunity. They never really reached for the stars. Since then, during their full release time, I feel like they've improved so much. I feel like they've improved so much in how they develop the game, how they process updates, how they communicate. And it's not perfect, it's not, but they definitely have done a better job in the last 18 months than maybe they did in the first 18 months. And that comes with age, that comes with experience of doing your business with your game. So yeah, all that made me think, nah, they're probably not going to do a whole new map. They're going to just add a new biome, or like I said, it'll be a dungeon area, but it'll be bigger than the dungeons we've already got. And it will seem a little bit like a mini map that you can go and explore. Well, there you go. I'm glad I hold my hand up and say, no, I was wrong. This is going to be a big new map with, I guess, big new resources and new creatures, new biomes, new ways to play the game. I'm guessing there's going to be some way that you obviously transfer all of your DLC over. If it doesn't, there'll be problems. There will be pitchforks and fires. Lots of questions are going to come up from this. Will you be able to transfer your character across? Will the map DLC allow you to take items back from it? Is there going to be some sort of advantage for players if they own a DLC? Funcom have been a little bit weird with this in the past, and I'll still criticise them a little bit. The DLC that they do sell is often build pieces, armour and weapons, and they're not paid to win, but they are a pay wall. You can't access this stuff unless you pay for it, and these items do have a value. You build stuff out of the build pieces, and although it uses similar building piece structures or resources to make it, it's still another option for players. And when you have another option that's paid, that to me is a paywall. The DLC isn't just cosmetics, it's not just skins you're just putting on your pieces that are already there, it is additional content. And same goes for weapons and armour. Some of the weapon sets and armour sets have got the same sort of stats as stuff that's already in there, but for various periods when they launched some of this DLC in the last year and a half, 2 years, some of that DLC has actually had a much more benefit than what was currently in the game. And they patched it and they nerfed it, but it did have that effect. Accidental effect or not, it did have some sort of extra effect, and some people might find it easier to get a certain piece of armour owning that DLC. Anyway, I'm excited. It's pretty big news. It's really big news. I don't know if it's going to go down well with the community. I don't know if they're thinking it should be free. Obviously, every other game under the sun usually offers a new map as paid expansions like Art Survival Evolved, etc. However, we are in 2020 now. You think about all the other big AAA games out there. Call of Duty don't make you pay for new maps anymore. Battlefield doesn't make you pay for new maps. And I know they're different genres, I know they're different games. But talking about like live service games, they're pretty similar. But it does seem a little bit like survival games are still a little bit of a throwback. I thought that they had a good thing going with their DLCs that they sold periodically and the new items, and as I said, I don't always agree with some of it, but it generally is popular. People do buy into it. Their core audience really support them DLCs. What they're probably not doing is getting enough new players to come and play the game. And I just don't know if a paid map is justifiable. I personally don't think it is. I think it should be a free map, but that's just personal opinion based on where we are in 2020 with so many other genres and so much other gaming out there. If you want to call your game a live service, then you've got to act like the other live services. You want to keep your fan bases together, and that's what a lot of game developers have realised over the years, that as soon as you start splitting it with different maps or paid content that only certain aspects of your community can access, you start splitting the fan base, your game can quickly start losing players. It's why Call of Duty and Battlefield started making the maps free. But nevertheless, I'm not going to be totally anti it. I realise they're a company, they've still got to generate and make new money, and if it gives us all something new to explore, one of the biggest criticisms from me about Conan Exiles was the map was too small. Even with mounts now, it's even smaller. There was so much crammed in, they had to go to different dungeons, and it just felt a little bit stale. You do get a bit stale playing Conan Exiles. The world has never felt as alive as something like Ark, and you know, I've said this in many of my videos talking about Ark versus Conan, etc. So I'm not just being a little bitch. You can go and check out all my videos talking about what differences between Ark and Conan. But I've always said that Ark has done that well, where it feels more living and vibrant, the way that just it's much more apparent that you're in a living world, whereas the mobs and enemies in Conan Exiles are pretty static. They always spawn in exactly the sort of same areas or regions, whereas in Ark, you know, you've got creatures attacking each other much more, and that does happen in Conan Exiles a little bit, but not to the same extent. Anyway, they're two different games. However, I would like to see in the new map lots more involvement with the AI. I'd like to see the AI much more improved. Maybe this is where we're going to get a chance to see sorcery. Maybe this is a chance where we're going to get to see big siege towers and weapons. Now, again, negatives. They can't do too much with some of this stuff if it has been promised during early access. Or I say promised but spoken about. And if they start bringing stuff out that on the new map is only available on the new map but not available to everyone else, they'll run into problems. So if you're hearing me, Funcom, Jesus Monies, play it very cool in the next few weeks, or get loads of information out there right now. You don't want to start letting people get up a feeling of what's going to happen if you're not giving information. You need to make this announcement video soon about the map yourself. And I know it's not going to be the right timing. Maybe you haven't got a trailer. Maybe you're going to wait for E3. It could be at the end of the year. But I did say there's a big update coming for the first part of the year, or Q1. Now, I think Q1 was a bit optimistic. I do believe it's in the first half of the year. So between now and June, we're expecting this map to come out. And it might be early access, who knows? They might decide they're going to do a long beta like they've done for all their other updates. It's interesting times for Conan Exiles. Lots of dangers, lots of negatives can be there if we don't start getting clarification. But also lots of positives, because I know the fan base from Conan Exiles have got really bored of playing just the same map and doing the same dungeons over and over. They want more experiences, they want to feel like they're in a more lived in world. They want better systems with the AI, and they want better systems overall. So yeah, it could be great stuff for Conan Exiles, it really could be, because the money and investment might be going throughout the whole game, not just the paid map, but all them systems could be coming to the main game as well. It means they've got more money to hire developers, more money to focus on certain aspects of it. So yeah, all that is all potential. I will just add they had these plans before the Tencent takeover, that it's kind of been obviously October they got taken over. There's no way Tencent came in with just 30% of the shares and said, oi, you need to make a brand new map. So clearly Funcom has been thinking about this new map for a while. So it's not like Tencent are coming in and just ordering them about. They just obviously like the idea and they can see where the growth is going to go. Take it all with a grain of salt, but I'm going to be there every step of the way, giving you guys the information you need to know about the new map, any new updates that are coming, and of course the future of Funcom and Conan Exiles. So until next time, Ratbags, I will see you later.